Hi, and welcome back to Genre. I'm your host, Elise.
And I'm Katie.
And today we're talking about Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. But first, we have some things to say.
First thing is that I am now in a deep Justin Bieber spiral.
Yeah, because of Coachella.
Because of Coachella.
Yeah.
I have never wanted to be at Coachella, ever. And I still don't think I do. But I've been really watching videos of his performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it really opened something up in me.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a Justin Bieber
Belieber.
hardcore fan. I'm not a believer at all. I missed the young Justin. I missed that completely. I was too old for it. But I did know that he, was one of the first YouTube superstars. Like, he was found on YouTube, and he became, he was posting all of his little covers and original songs as a little kid. And so when I saw that he was just harmonizing, basically, with his younger self on YouTube, I was like, oh, this hits me in a place I didn't know I had for Justin Bieber. This really feels like healing inner child shit. I think the internet was sort of being mean to him about it. And I'm like, I think this was a great idea.
I know. I feel like they were, because everyone has these huge productions at Coachella. And I was just like, that's not what I want from Justin Bieber. I just want Justin Bieber to sing. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. I think a lot of the comparisons was with Christina Carpenter, who was the night one headliner. And
Sabrina Carpenter.
What did I say?
Christina Carpenter.
I thought I said Sabrina Carpenter.
No. Wow.
Did I have a stroke? Should we check that out?
Christina.
Maybe you misheard me. I was pretty positive I said Sabrina.
I cannot wait till we roll this back and you see that you fucking said Christina and are blaming it on me.
Blaming it on you think you're wrong. But obviously, Sabrina Carpenter had this huge production. Like, it was basically a movie. And I thought it was also awesome. I thought it was great. I like Sabrina Carpenter. I think she did a great job. And if she did anything less than that, I think we all would have been confused, because she doesn't do anything less than that. Like, it was just a bigger version of her tour. So there was a lot of comparisons being like, if Sabrina Carpenter did that, she would have been eaten alive. And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's not like the internet didn't yell about Justin Bieber just sitting there over YouTube in a very Kanye West weird stage.
I felt like I could really relate, because I feel like I'm often on YouTube being like, what video should I put on next? And maybe that's what he does with his friends at home.
And he basically created YouTube. So I don't know, feels like he has the right.
And he sounded excellent.
He did.
Excellent. I was chuffed.
And I didn't follow it too much, but obviously he's had a rough few years, Justin.
He has.
And I really felt like he looked happy when he was doing this. And I was just like, feels like he's doing great now. And I that felt good for me.
Oh, I loved it. Anyway, that's what I had to talk about. I'll do one more thing. Big news in the book community world about Veronica Roth coming out with a new Divergent book. I don't know if you read the article, but I did read the article in Elle, and I'm interested to see how this one goes. I did not realize that Veronica Roth was so, and she says in this article, embarrassed by the Divergent series.
So I didn't read the article. So she was embarrassed? Yeah. Like, she didn't like it? She thought it was not good?
I mean, I also didn't realize she was like 23 or something.
Yeah, I think I knew she was super young.
She was in her senior year of college. I think that she took a lot of the criticism, and I was like,
not
criticism.
From Katie.
Not from me. Certainly not from me, Veronica. But a lot of that criticism, that it was campy, that the world building was bad. I mean, the ending, which... that's my only criticism, I guess I would say.
Yeah, but that's just because it destroyed you.
Yeah, destroyed me.
Not because it was bad.
Not because it was bad, I guess. Anyway, she said that she wanted to feel better about the books. And this was like I think this is the 15th year of Divergent. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to feel better. And so I think for like her Substack or for her newsletter or something like that, she started writing from Beatrice's point of view again on, I guess the chapter was if she just was factionless, if she never chose to be in Dauntless and didn't choose a faction, like what would happen?
Yeah. And so that's the story.
And I think that's the story. And it sounds like it's going to be a duology.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's it's interesting because it's just an alternate. It's a fan fiction, but it's a fan fiction of her own work. She's just fan fictioning herself.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I'm excited. That comes out in October.
Cool.
Yeah, chuffed about that. So what do you got for me?
All right. So I just want to say I've finished the Emma and Lion series, all 8 books that are currently out.
And you bought them all. Wow.
And I bought them all because
those are beautiful colors.
Right? And then they're all very like, look how classy. Classy they are.
I love them.
Yeah.
They are very pretty.
I don't know what is in these books because they're not any book that you would think that I would read. Sure, they're a historical romance, but there's like no smut in them. Nobody even kisses until like book 7, I think. And it's, a chaste Victorian kiss. Like the relationship is very like a chaste Victorian relationship. And the main like story, I mean, it's all about Emma M. Lyon as she's like making her way through this Victorian world as, as independent as a woman could be in those times, which is not very. Sort of the main story revolves around her and the friendship that she forms with 3 men. Her boarder, like she has like a tenant who's a photographer, a duke, and a vicar. Mm-hmm. And it's this deep, very meaningful friendship and like group that they have. And of course the story is any of them in love with each other. And since Emma is going through her own stuff, dealing with grief, she finds herself to be tremendously poor and is trying to not lose her house and things like that. She's not even really interested in romance until book 7. It doesn't even like cross her mind with any of these people.
Are they still writing these books?
Yeah. So what I found out, so the 8th book came out in like 2024 when I was done with it because I knew there was 8 books out. And I said, when's the next one coming out? I mean, the woman wrote 8 books, so I'm sure they're still happening. There hasn't been any since 2024, which is when I found out that Emma M. Lyon has gotten picked up by Bloomsbury. So this was independently published. And now it got picked up by Bloomsbury, and so I don't know what's happening about that. So I'm not sure.
Independently published with those beautiful covers?
Yeah. Well, this one says Rise and Press. Let's see what Rise and Press is. I mean, these are also on Kindle Unlimited.
Where did you get those books? Did you get them at the bookstore, or you had to get them online?
I had to get them from Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a boutique publisher established to release the works of Beth Bauer. So yeah, I don't know if this is her publisher or what, but yeah, it's just her stuff.
Good for her.
Her website says she's writing the next one, but she sort of looks at it. She said like a TV show series. So like this is all her journal entries. Like it's written like epistyles. So it's like each book is 2 months and then every 6 books is 1 year. And that's like series 1. And then like it goes again, something like that. So
she's going to have like 1 million books.
She said on her website when I went to go look that it's going to be a 4-year book. So like there's so much more left. And I'm like, what's going to happen here?
Girl,
I know.
Oh my God, don't say that if you can't be committing.
Mm-hmm. But I can't wait. I feel like everybody should read them. I did say at one point that Mother would love them, which she would. That still remains. Yeah. But the relationship between the 4 of them is so well written and so interesting.
Is it cozy?
It is cozy. It's cozy for sure. And it's sort of zany. It has like a zany cast of characters because she's in this small neighborhood of London that's zany. Okay. So they have this weird cast of characters all the time. So it's cozy. It's sort of funny. We know pretty much everything about Emma working through her own grief and things like that. And then the 3 men also have issues and secrets that we're sort of learning piecemeal as it goes on. So it is really interesting. And obviously it takes a while.
Try.
You can give it a try. It's not a romance. It's more like historical fiction.
I feel like I might be bored.
You might be bored. For sure. But the first book's only like 120 pages, so you can give it a go. And if you don't like it, you can just call it. All right. I mean, we can jump into the book now, speaking of long series and authors that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. So let's jump into the spoiler-free section of Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. And here's a short synopsis for the book. A laid-back rancher on a distant colony planet thinks reconnecting with Earth will make his life easier, until a corporation turns his home into a literal pay-for-play war game where off-world gamers control machines trying to wipe them out. As he and his friends scramble to defend their planet with whatever they can cobble together, the story leads into a chaotic, gamer-style sci-fi while asking what happens when the people destroying your world thinks it's just entertainment. Bum, bum, bum. Obviously, the author is Matt Dinniman, who wrote...
We've talked about on this podcast at length.
Let's see if we could get it in the picture. There it is. There's the Dungeon Crawler Carl series up there.
Also beautiful books.
Also beautiful books. My favorite series of the last year, for sure, since I started reading it. And this is his newest standalone book.
I was going to ask you that. Is it actually a standalone?
That's, from what I can tell on the internet, yes, this is not a series. It's a standalone.
Okay.
I have some thoughts, though, about where it might fit in sort of the larger Matt Dinniman universe.
Interesting.
Although I also checked to see if my theories could be confirmed, and
they could not.
They could not be.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's his newest standalone, and it has a lot of the hallmarks of like Matt Dinniman as a writer, and therefore some of the Dungeon Crawler Carl things, but it's very different. I actually think it's more serious than the Dungeon Crawler Carl series.
Yeah, I had some thoughts about that.
Yeah. So it's definitely sci-fi dystopian. I think it has like some satire in it, but it's like not particularly funny, but there's a lot of social commentary that's going here.
I thought it was funny. As I was writing this up and I was looking at what some other people were saying online, it does feel like a lot of people were like, whoa, this was heavy, this was dark. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I kind of thought it was funny.
It had like its funny aspects to it, Roger.
I mean, most of it was funny. Yeah. Like I was chuckling, so.
And it was zany too. Like that's like it was just this zany sort of situation because he just wakes up one day and there's people controlling murderous robots on his planet, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
Well, I was just going to say, Elise, why don't you set the scene?
We drop into just the story the morning after a party, and Oliver woke up completely hungover, possibly still drunk, being like, you have to go and find one of the missing honeybees, which we just slowly find out is like the little AI farmhands, basically, like little drones that like help him around his farm. And as he's out trying to find this little robot, he finds out that basically it's day one of Operation Bounce House, which is a government-backed event where the citizens of Earth can pay to join a game to hunt down so-called terrorists on New Sonora, which is the colony planet that Oliver and his friends are on. And of course, while everybody else is not super surprised by this, Oliver is shocked because he has not been paying attention to the news. And he's
a simple guy.
He's a simple man. He just wants to, work on his farm, play some music with his band, the Rhythm Mafia.
Yeah.
And just
hang out with his girlfriend. Maybe have some kids one day. Just he's a simple guy. And like throughout this, we sort of not only learn that there's a much, bigger and more complicated world out there, but that Oliver sort of becomes this unlikely hero and possibly an advocate for AI. Who's to know? But AI tends to play a huge role in this as well as it's going through. I was also saying that it very much was like a space western too. Yes, because they lived very simply, and the way that I kind of equated it to was people in, let's just say, the Midwest that are kind of out of touch with what's going on in like the big urban cities and are just like very honed in on what's happening in their own backyard. And also, if you listen to the audiobook, the audiobook narrator was talking in kind of a Southern accent. Yeah. Kind of like a Westerny vibe.
Well, when the first generation of people came over to colonize New Sonora, they were a mixture of criminals, actual criminals, prisoners, and what sounded like mostly people from South America at the time. And just these people together sort of came to this new planet, traveled across the stars to
A lot of
colonized this
Spanish.
planet. A lot of
Yeah.
Spanish. Like a lot of people were speaking Spanish. A lot of the names were Spanish.
Yeah.
Even some of the names of the honeybees
Yeah.
were Spanish. I have a question for you before we even go into tropes. How did you picture the honeybees? Because
Okay. This was tough for me because immediately when we kicked it off, like truly in the first chapter, we're talking about these honeybees when Roger is like, we got to go get this gal. She's lost her way. And I was like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about how big are we talking about? Are we talking about a honeybee or are we just referencing a honeybee? And then I slowly learned, because I was thinking of like a mechanical honeybee. So like a little chunky,
like a little
cylindrical kind of thing that just like was buzzing around. But then at one point, I think we talk about how Oliver got home that night before when he was like super wasted. And they said that some of the honeybees carried him. And the way that they kind of talked about that, I was like, well, maybe they have bigger arms than I thought.
I think the key is that they could fly. And same thing with Roger. So Roger is the queen bee, essentially. I think he's called the hive queen of the honeybees, and he's an AI unit, like a smart AI unit. And he's also sort of the tutor to Oliver and his sister Lulu.
I call him a nanny.
Yeah,
he's like
trying to keep him in line, trying to teach him. Like since the grandfather died, he's very much looking after Oliver and Lulu, but also is keeping this farm going. I mean, Oliver's working the land and everything too, but he's the AI brain that keeps this going, and the honeybees doing what the honeybees do. And so I think the key is that they can all fly. So I was picturing the honeybees like big circles, and Oliver too. Like Oliver, just the biggest circly.
You mean Roger?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Roger. Almost like a flying R2-D2. I feel like is how I picture them.
You know what? Who are those guys in Doctor Who? Those big chunky little ones?
Daleks?
Yeah. I think I was kind of thinking like Daleks, because at one point they're saying that they can build really fast. Like they can just like rebuild and do stuff. And I'm like, how are they holding? Like what kind of...
They obviously have some sort of...
phalanges.
Yeah, they definitely have some sort of opposable thumbs for sure.
Yeah. But it was a thing that I constantly thought about.
Yeah, and I even looked at like the cover. They don't have like these. These are the mechs that the gamers are playing.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing on here.
The mechs to me were kind of like Transformers, essentially.
Same thing. Yeah, I agree. There's this. Do you think maybe this is Roger?
Huh. Yeah. I wonder if that is.
I think that is Roger and the honeybees.
So that is kind of like cylindrically bee-shaped.
Yeah, with like little claws, basically, like claw machine claws.
Yeah, and look, I think he's got little feet.
Yeah, he's got like.
I mean, honestly, I did not see that, and that is. I can get that.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So I think we were right, honestly. Now that we're looking at it.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
So we were right. Yeah. So they're basically like, little honeybees, but with claw machine claws.
Yeah.
To do the work.
3 feet tall. Maybe.
Yeah. And I think Roger's the biggest of all.
Maybe at 5 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, wow. And so that was really figuring out what the honeybees and Roger looked like really kept up a lot of my mind. And if we just would have looked closer at the book jacket, maybe we would have had a better idea.
Kind of glad I didn't, though.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at this. Wow. When you take the dust jacket off, look at what's on the front page, like the front cover.
Oh my God.
We are the motherfucking Rhythm Mafia, which is Oliver's band, and then it becomes a whole thing. We have to wait to the spoiler section for that. But
my God.
Oh man! Oh, I'm glad that we discovered that live on air, but we really maybe should have looked.
And
closer.
Did you see in the middle of fucking the I think is Roger.
I think is Roger. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Could have didn't look at that.
Nope. Well, lesson learned there.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into my girl Lulu.
Yeah. I loved her. What do you think about Lulu?
I have things to say that I feel like I might have to wait to the spoiler section, but I also love Lulu. Lulu really goes through it I feel like during this book, she's got a lot of, emotions that are coming out. And Lulu is Oliver's younger sister by a few years. I think everyone's like pretty much in their 20s. I think Oliver's like 25 or something. So she's a little bit younger. But they're just like, I feel like they're kind of besties. I like their relationship because they've been alone for so long without their grandfather because their parents died much younger. And I love Lulu. She's sassy.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that a big part of her character arc is that she has a OnlyFans site, and I think it's called like Best Friends or whatever. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's very clearly OnlyFans, and she's doing it because she wants to save money so she could eventually move to Earth.
Yep. And she's making money.
Making bank. Very, very popular account. And it's called, her account's like Farm Girl Lulu or Farm
Girl Gigi.
Farm Girl Gigi, that's right. Yeah.
Farm Girl Gigi.
Mm-hmm. And it's Oliver knows, and it's just like, it's weird, but it's what she does. I just put headphones on so I can't hear when she's talking to her clients. Yeah. And she also wants Oliver, when she makes enough money, she wants Oliver to come with her to Earth. And Oliver's just like, no.
Oliver doesn't have
on New
huge
Sonora.
Yeah, he doesn't have huge aspirations to do much. He could though,
Yes, yeah. Even just in New Sonora, he could have some. If he wasn't going to leave, he could also have, have some idea for the future. But he's really just
he's simple.
He's a simple guy. He's a stoner without the weed.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then the other big sort of character or presence in the book is Apex Corporation, who is the company that's putting on Operation Bounce House. So if you wanted to play in this game, you need to pay Apex Corp to print you a mech, and you can customize your mech
depending
and all
on
of that,
how much money you had,
pay, and like your subscription level and this, that, and the other thing. And so they're running the game and everything that's happening. And they come in and out. We talked to several executives throughout the book that end up giving us some background as to why this is happening. Because, of course, nobody on New Sonora is like what's going on here? Because the premise of the game is that there are terrorists on New Sonora, and the people of Earth have to save New Sonora from the terrorists. But, of course, there is no terrorists. It's just people who are farming.
Yeah. And I had a lot of questions about how much the people that were participating in the game actually knew or were fed information on what it is that they're doing.
Yeah, they definitely knew they were fighting terrorists. That's what they thought they were doing, but they also were smarter. A lot of these people playing this game were smart enough to know that this could have all been fake.
Well,
or could have all been, real.
Well, they knew that they, inhabited planets years and years ago. And so I think that they were basically saying these people, they've mutated from human DNA and they want to take down Earth. That's kind of the impression that I got. But then it's like these people are not too young or too old to not remember what happened 50 years ago when they all got to this planet.
Yeah, well, I think like the big background is that Oliver and Lulu, their generation, is the third generation of people on New Sonora. So the second generation born there. So the people who came in, his grandfather came in from the ships, was born on the ship, landed, got married, had kids. Those kids were Oliver and Lulu's mom. That was the first generation of New Sonora. They died. That generation pretty much all died from an illness that they all were susceptible to, which is part of the mystery that we're finding out throughout the book as well, like what's going on there. And then they were able to figure out what was causing this illness. And then in the second generation, Oliver and Lulu's generation, they were able to change the genetics of that generation just a touch when the babies were in utero to make it so they could survive on the planet. And have babies. And when the planet opened back up to Earth, a big thing that was happening was that they were calling them not human because there was this genetic update. But they looked human. Everything else was totally fine. It was just, a tweak so they could live on the planet.
Yeah. And one of the things I thought was really funny is because of that illness, the majority of people are like young and then grandparents.
Yeah, that's
So
it. There's
Oliver and Lulu and their friends, which are like in their early 20s, or then it's like people in their 70s, 80s, and now they're like basically in war.
and yeah, so these are the people who could fight for Operation Bounce House.
Yeah, which makes the whole thing even more wacky.
Yeah. All right, you want to say what it's giving for you?
I don't want to say what it's giving because I have a little something in my one-line plot, but
Okay.
you tell me yours.
Okay. I have one that I don't think you would have just because I don't think you've ever watched it, but it was giving a little bit Firefly for me. Did you ever watch Firefly? It was a
No.
Josh Whedon space western, and they were
You know I'm not
I
thrilled
know.
about space.
I know. And it was also funny, but it was just a ragtag group that was on a ship that were bounty hunters. You know, they were just trying to like get by, and it was just this ragtag group that, of course, is constantly getting pulled in to conflicts where they end up doing the right thing. But wait, you love him?
Nathan,
Nathan
I know
Fillion.
him.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion is the captain of the ship, and the ship is called Serenity. And
Oh my God.
he's constantly trying to be like just in it for himself, in it for the money. But at the end of the day, he's saving people left and right. So this reluctant hero with a ragtag team just trying to live to see another day
That's very
what was
Nathan Fillion.
yeah, which is what this was giving me.
Yeah, but also Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver just trying to live to see another day.
Yeah. I mean, it is an interesting take on video gaming, like future video gaming. And that's kind of what all I could think of is like this happens today, right? People live stream themselves gaming. And I was like, whoa, this is, the deadliest of games.
Yeah. You know what it was sort of reminding me a little bit too was when Nikki was on and she was saying that she had this third genre that she thinks she made up that she really liked.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
like millennial angst and anxiety.
Yeah.
This sort of reminds me of what maybe could be like a Gen Z angst and anxiety, particularly because it revolves so much around social
Technology,
media,
yeah.
technology, AI, like what
Yeah.
happens with all of those things. And that's like at the core of this, outside of like the relationships that we're looking at. Like that's really some of the commentary that's happening.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why I just thought of this, but Outer Banks.
Really?
Like,
Because of the ragtag crew
I
just
think
trying to
it's
live to see
because-
another day.
I think it's because of the ragtag crew and that they're always just, questing or like
Yeah.
treasure hunting, but they're just a mess.
Yeah.
Like, just like they don't know what they're doing. And I think Sam, which was kind of the comic relief, reminds me of one of the guys in Outer Banks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see that for sure.
Makes me laugh.
All right. Give your one-line plot since it was holding you back from your It's Giving.
All right, ready? A group of farmers get dropped into a Twitch stream from hell and decide if they're going to die, they're taking the audience with them.
Yep. That's accurate.
I know.
It was a
so
Twitch
what
stream
it's
from
giving,
hell.
It
Yeah.
is a Twitch stream from hell. Like it is, I can 100% see the evolution. Very realistic.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of the gamers in the mechs are stream teams, basically, are like teams of people who stream together.
They're essentially influencers in that space, and that's the same way that it is today. Like you could be a Twitch gamer, you could have a gazillion followers, and you make so much money from people just watching you play.
I know. And video games are much more your thing than my thing.
Love video games.
And I feel like when you really get into, like when the new Zelda comes out, you're all of a sudden watching Twitch streams because you have to try and figure out how to win the level.
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm constantly watching them when a new game comes out. So I can relate to that.
Yeah. No, this is, for me, no. Okay, mine is this. A stoner 20-something and his band of misfit friends are just chilling on a space farm when unchecked capitalism comes a-knockin' and turns them into unwilling revolutionaries, internet celebrities, and possible AI advocates.
Good.
Yeah. Capitalism comes a-knockin', okay?
Yeah. Yep.
And
It sure does.
It sure does. They really have to figure out how to fight against capitalism, and we all know you can't.
No. All right. Would our mother read this book?
No.
Would our father read this book?
Yes. He would love, the same way that he would love Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I'm like, listen, Dad, I know you're not going to read a 7-book series that I don't know how many pages, but thousands and thousands of pages. It's not even done. But I'm like, it will become a TV series and he will love it.
He will love it.
And he's like, okay. And he would love this too. High level. Did you like the book?
I did like it. Mm-hmm. And I've got some caveats in there as to why I'm not like, yes, I totally loved it.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it too.
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit unfairly comparing it to Dungeon Crawler Carl the entire time. Once it became clear that this was he was doing this in a little bit of a different way, I stopped. Yeah. But like that was something that was hard for me to sort of forget, just because I love those books so much.
Yeah.
But it still really had like the trademark absurdity, like the comment on current affairs and all of that. But it was more serious than I thought it was going to be.
Interesting.
And so I think that didn't stop me from liking it, but it was definitely something that throughout the book I was just sort of constantly trying to tell myself, stop comparing it to Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah.
Every book can't have a Princess Donut.
But
Roger really tried. Yeah, Roger really tried, though. Roger did a pretty good job. Pretty good job trying to fill Princess Donut's pause. Okay, now we can get into the spoilers. Ready?
Okay. Spoilers.
Spoiler section. Okay. All right. So, more details, Katie.
Yes.
When did you decide you liked it or didn't?
So, my biggest gripe was that this entire book is a war book.
Yeah, it's a war
and
book.
I don't like war books. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting enough because it was different. But that's definitely why I'm kind of like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
It was too much. I wish that we had way more time on New Sonora and like learning about what they did every day and just like kind of what was going on in the world before we got into the conflict. Because it truly is like in the first chapter. And I'm like, oh, we're starting from here.
Yeah. Same thing. I actually felt about this book very similarly to how I felt when I read Red Rising, where I'm like, I really, really liked it. I thought it was a really good story, but there was just a touch too much war for me.
Yeah.
And there was so much that I really liked about it, but I wish we would have spent more time on the Rosita documentary subplot.
I was also just going to say, I was like, I felt like they were mixing that in and they were taking, some of her documentary videos from what sounds like a long time ago. And I was like, I felt like we didn't get a great conclusion to that, or we didn't spend a lot more time on it.
Well, I guess that's a thing we probably should have mentioned up front. The way that this book is structured is pretty much third person limited POV from Oliver's point of view. So we just see and know what Oliver knows. And then, I don't know, every 3 or 4 chapters, there's a transcript from a interview that Rosita, which is Oliver's girlfriend, is doing on the planet to basically interview everybody to figure out not only the past of New Sonora, but what happened with this disease that killed all their parents. How did they solve it? Like, what did people think happened? And that subplot, A, humanized everybody because we learned so much more about New Sonora, and then B, was sort of a mystery, like what did happen. So many people had theories as to why this entire generation died from this illness and what happened and how it could have happened. Was it, some of them thought it was on purpose, the government did it, et cetera, et cetera. And like that was interesting, and we learn, like sort of with the plot twists at the end, that there was a reason for it, but it's just not what anybody thought it was.
Yeah, but that's how we got context on the entire planet, how they got there, everything was through those kind of flashbacks.
And then what I want to talk about up front, because talk about something I had to look up, because I was like, do I not know enough about AI to know if this is a thing? But we learn that Roger is a particular type of AI that's now illegal on Earth. So
Yes.
on Earth, there was something that happened, also sort of part of this mystery, in which AI basically got stripped down to its very basics. Basically, AI was ChatGPT in this Earth, and then it became what they were calling traducible AIs. Traducible AIs. And those were what we think of when we think of like real sci-fi AIs. Like they self-actualized and they did rebel.
They could organize.
Yeah, they could organize. And at one point they did rebel on Earth. And so they basically pulled the plug on the AIs. And now it's illegal to have anything more complicated than a generative AI, basically, on Earth. And I was like, what is the word traducible? Is that something I should know? Yeah. And I looked it up, and Matt Dinniman made this up. There is no such thing as a traducible AI, but it is a Spanish adjective that means translatable, which I think is interesting because everybody on New Sonora is from Latin descent. And it's like the type of this AI and what Roger is that they're able to adapt and to think for themselves and to be the most human as you can be, basically.
And I get that, because I think that's kind of the whole sci-fi fear, is that they're going to create this technology that can all of a sudden start thinking for itself, and then we're going to be outnumbered and they're just going to kill us all. So I get that. I did have a lot of, like, I think one of the plot twists is supposed to be like Roger's evolution, and I think I got really lost in that sauce.
This was something I actually went back and then traced again, because the last line of this book is haunting. Like, do you remember it? Do you want me to read it to you? So it was, the last chapter of the book is one of the Rosita documentary trackers, and it's very, like, fast cuts, and it's just when she's talking to everybody, and she's asking them what they want to be when they grow up. It says, cut, we see a young Lulu. Lulu, I want to be a movie star. Cut to young Tito and Axel. We want to be farmers. Right, Tito? Tito shrugs. Like, so it's all of that, just like younger versions of themselves. And then there's a long pause and it cuts, and it's just Roger talking to the camera. And he gives a speech, basically, about his background, which I'll explain I'll explain after this. And then the last line is, I just want what you want. I want to live. I want to be free. I have no desire to hurt anyone. What happens next is up to you. We can help each other. We can live in peace. It's your decision. What will you do, I wonder? And that's it. That's how it ends. And what he explains right there is that Roger is an iteration of the original AI that was on one of the ships that brought them over, one of the big generation ships, Hibisco. And Hibisco was a separatist AI. And he believed that basically humans got too big for their britches and we just got to kill them all. Right? There's nothing you can do. Like, in the same way that the humans thought that these AIs were the problem, these AIs thought humans were the problem. And so they just needed to go back to zero. So Hibisco, that AI, did actually mess with the formula that was brought over on these ships. So when the first generation was born on New Sonora, was 100% chance they would get this illness instead of just like the 30%, and they would die. And they don't know why, and even Roger doesn't know why, because he's an iteration of Hibisco, and every time there is an iteration, they don't get everything.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing how they talked about the iterations. I mean, I guess it's kind of like what we do today when there's new versions that come out of software that I guess they didn't get the context of what came before.
They get just what they need, basically. Yep. And then at the end, it turns out that Roger is different than Hibisco in his iteration, because Roger grew up basically in this smaller community of New Sonora with a community that supported each other. He's like, no, humans aren't all that bad. Right? So he has a different view of humanity. But then when you came for him, when you came for his family, when you came for the people he loved, he started to remember some of Hibisco's ideas. And he did end up copying himself and got past the Earth firewall and turned into another iteration. And that iteration was going to kill everybody in the game. Was going to fry everybody in the game.
Yeah.
But because at the very end, Oliver and crew starts getting through to the people on Earth, he decides that there's enough humanity left that he's not going to. But
right now.
right now, but it depends. He's keeping an eye. He's keeping an eye on the on
He's
Earth.
Keeping an eye on the situation. Well, one thing that I thought was particularly confusing was I felt like it took me a little bit to understand that when they're playing this game and the mechs that are coming in, essentially like the Transformer guys, there's no one inside of them. It's just the people on Earth that are playing and manipulating these little transformer things to shoot people, to blow stuff up, whatever. Like, there was no other humans from Earth that were looking with their own eyes on New Sonora to be like, oh, these people are just like regular old farmers. They're not doing anything wrong. And then the ships, like, remember when, I don't know, Oliver got himself basically inside of a mech that got zoomed up into like a spaceship, which is where if you had a mech, you were playing the game and something happened, like the arm fell off.
Yeah,
like they
it was
would
the moderator ships.
Yeah, would fix you and then send you back down so you could keep fighting. But then I was like, so a human can go inside of them? That was confusing to me.
Well, no, because remember, his body wasn't there.
Oh my
his
God,
body
you're
was
right,
his body was playing drums because the Rhythm Mafia was putting on a show. He was wearing one of the helmets,
that VR like helmet,
the VR
yeah.
helmet,
Oh
and that's
gosh,
how
yes.
and that's how everybody was controlling it from Earth. It's like this immersive VR helmet, and Apex was messing with with what they saw anyway. So they would see when people were running away from them. They would see people running, but all those people would be holding guns.
Yeah.
Anybody child-sized or a child, the players couldn't see them at all. So the players could be killing children. They just didn't know they were killing children because that would have been less fun for the game.
Yeah.
They wanted to make money, and they also wanted to clear this planet for capitalism reasons.
I would say one of my absolute favorite scenes is the end when the Rhythm Mafia takes the stage and it's like the final stand, the final battle. And what makes me laugh is that it sounds like they're not great. No. They're not a great band at all.
No. They were just doing it for fun. They just it was just the fun thing they did. But Sam really had high hopes for the Rhythm Mafia.
He had high hopes for the Rhythm Mafia. And I loved it because Lulu came out as her farm girl Gigi persona and made sure all of her OnlyFans members knew and could watch, and everyone was like, oh wait, is that farm girl Gigi? And so basically all of their social media blew up. Everyone on Earth was now like, wait a second, I think these people are just like playing drums and being a band, and why are we trying to kill them all?
I know, it seems like they're just, is that farm girl Gigi?
Yeah, they're like, wait, what? Yeah. I thought that was great when Earth starts recognizing like, oh, what's happening here? But then we also see Roger's kind of nasty side where he finds out all this information about the players and basically doxes them and is, sending deliveries to their home or telling parents that there's something going on with their kids so that they go pick them up from school so that they interrupt these people that are playing the game because things are happening like in their actual real life.
Yeah. And that was one key point that I thought was so interesting because on Earth, since they've outlawed complicated AI, transducible AI, is that when Roger gets into the net and starts making these fake phone calls and starts making fake images and starts doing all of that, everybody believes it because it's against the law to do that. And it's not only against the law, but it's incredibly hard. You can't get around it. Like the system that they put into place is 100% accurate all of the time from catching these like fake images and fake phone calls.
It's fake. You're not allowed to have like AI images of humans. That's what's outlawed. That's something that cannot exist. So Roger was essentially altering images to have deep fakes that caused a death, honestly.
Yeah,
on Earth.
Somebody murdered somebody because of Roger's deep fake. And that's one of my favorite scenes, like my scene stealer was at the end when Oliver is, in a mech in the moderator ship and is talking to Opal, who's the head of Apex. I think the reason this really stood out to me is because of what I'm going to now give you my Dungeon Crawler Carl theory here, sort of where this sits. But Eli Opal is devastated when he finds out that Roger has an Earth instance, that he's gotten himself onto Earth. He starts crying. He's like, it's the end of everything. because of how bad it was before, because he was around for the original AI revolution, if you will. The reason why, here's my thought when it comes to Dungeon Crawler Carls. AI is a part of all of the books because the AI runs the dungeon. But in the later books, we find out that there is the original AI. They call it the primal AI. Okay. And part of me is like, is Roger on Earth right now? Is he the primal AI? Is that what's going to happen? Maybe Roger got there, reset everybody's memory, and then became this primal AI that basically ran everything.
Well, Roger was basically saying, he's like, well, I'll see how they do. I'm not going to kill anybody yet. So I do think that was leaving it open for, what happens?
Yeah. The line right before that one line that I read before, that he just wants to live, is just Roger saying, the world is so big and information is so readily accessible that you as humans, especially those from Earth, can't properly process it all. You are empathetic and kind when you relate, but when you don't, you are cruel. Hibisco believed this was a fatal, irreparable flaw in the human condition. I passionately disagreed with him. Or at least I did, until you attacked my family. And then that was the last line I read before. Or at least I did. And I'm like, I
like Roger.
Yeah, you gotta watch Roger.
Lulu was on the same page, I feel like, as Roger. And Oliver was very much like, not everyone's bad. And Lulu was like, I want to kill everyone that's in this game right now. And I was like, yeah, same.
That was the one thing I really liked when I was just looking to go deeper into the characters. I think the juxtaposition between Lulu and Oliver was great. Yeah. Like Lulu, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? She was an entrepreneur, okay? She was looking to make money. Oliver, he's a simple man, you know? He's just going to keep working this farm. He's going to learn how to fix the machines. So if Roger ever stops working, he can, keep the farm going. But, you know, he just wants to hang out with his buddies, play some music, play bad music. But Lulu's like, get rid of these people. Oliver's like, let's try not to kill everybody. How about that? I also think besides the AI of it all, which is obviously a lot of what the speculative fiction aspect of this was. Yeah. I thought another one of the big themes that I thought were really interesting was just the othering of New Sonora, but just like the othering of people anyway. So obviously the players came over because they were told, hey, there's terrorists here. Yeah. But also because they thought these people were subhuman because of the genetic twists that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it goes back to the fact that they just sent prisoners and not white people to colonize these planets to begin with too. So I mean, we don't get too much on to like why these people were chosen.
That was another thing I was confused about, is that the people on Earth knew, like, they're in the same time period. Like, they knew who was sent. They knew, like, the gates had opened. They knew that there was people, and there wasn't a lot of discussion around why they've suddenly become terrorists. They've been on this planet for like over 50 years. What's going on here? Like, and it kind of made me seem like, well, if somebody just tells you one thing and it's like, oh, these people are bad, like, you're just going to believe them and not ask any questions. And that's what happens.
Yeah. And it's a real
idiots.
Well, because everybody's so online, like in a real VR sort of way.
Yeah. But then they're like, what? Farm Girl Gigi, I love her.
Well, that's because it's such
and the pig. And like, there was that, was it a pig or a cow?
It was a pig and a chicken.
Yeah, it was a pig and a chicken that lived on New Sonora. And for whatever reason, it seemed like people from Earth like were able to see the pig and the chicken, and the pig and the chicken were like chilling. And Roger made essentially like an Instagram for the pig and the chicken and was just like posting funny pics, and everyone was like following it and giving money, donating, because they were like, you cannot hurt the pig.
Yeah. No. Well, that's another thing that that Roger ends up doing, is that he ends up taking all of Lulu's money because he needs it. He needs it to basically get past the firewall that's keeping the transducible AIs out of the Earth system. And then once he's there, he needs more money. So that's like why he sets up the pig and the chicken account, because he's like, well, influencers make a ton of money. That's how you make your money.
Yeah. And so he was like, obviously I need to do that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm happy that this ended on a happy ending, which is essentially all of the Rhythm Mafia survive.
Yep.
And they are there to farm another day after rebuilding their little town.
Yeah.
And we lost some players along the way, but I wasn't super upset about that.
No. And it was mostly the older generation, but yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess Oliver lived. That was also kind of confusing.
So that was, I thought, was interesting too. And I kind of feel like another connection to at least the Dungeon Crawler Carl universe is that because Oliver's body was playing the drums and when his head was up in the moderatorship saving the day, his body dies. He's blown to shit, but his consciousness is saved. It's in the system. And so one of the Roger instances, one of the new Roger instances, tells him that he's dead, but it's just his body that's dead and they can rebuild it. So don't worry about it, but it's just going to take a while. So we're going to put your consciousness into this robot and then he can get sent back down to Earth. And then once his body is done,
they'll send that down.
They'll send his consciousness can go back into his body. And I'm like, that's crazy pants. But in Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's so hard to die. This sort of thing is what's happening in Dungeon Crawler Carl. Like, you really have to. Like, you have to be really dead. You know what I mean? Like, to die. And so I feel like it's kind of similar.
There's a TV show that now I can't think of. I feel like that was on Netflix. That was very much your body is just a vessel and you can move bodies all the time and your consciousness switches between people.
Okay, here's my game.
Okay.
Obviously, you and I know that one of our favorite parts of this book was Roger's name that he would give people.
Yeah.
So Roger, for some reason, would only call Oliver and Lulu by their name. And then all of their friends were like, Oliver's friend number 1, Oliver's friend number 2, or our favorite, which was Lulu's unqualified babysitter number 1, which was
Rosita.
Which was Oliver's girlfriend. And I was saying, Katie,
unqualified babysitter number 1.
Yeah. What do you think your Roger name would be? Like, if Roger gave you a name, what do you think it would be? I really sprung this on you.
Oh my God. Do you know what it just made me think of? Is that babysitter we had when we were kids, Violet, and how she called me Hot Lips.
Yeah.
But not because I was naughty.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were just running your mouth.
Yeah, I was running my mouth at like 4 years old. So
yeah, Roger would constantly be zinging you.
Yeah, I would be getting zapped. I think it would be some version of Hot Lips.
The one that I thought of right away and I wrote down was Amanda's older sister number 1. And you could be Amanda's older sister number 2.
Wait, but we would have had to have names before Amanda was born.
No, it's true.
So I could be maybe Elise's younger sister, number 1.
And Katie's older sister, number 1. Would be like we'd have to, and then we'd switch when it came.
Yeah.
But no, that was one of the funniest parts of the book, his funny little names.
Yeah. Unqualified babysitter number 1.
You just came out of a car one time and just being like, hi, Lulu's unqualified babysitter number 1.
I was listening to the audiobook on the way home and his voice was just stuck in my head.
Yeah. It's a good audiobook.
Yeah,
I thought the audiobook was really good.
Yeah.
I really feel like audiobooks are stepping up their game recently.
I think they really are, except for, of course, the one, How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates, where that man's voice was just very hard to understand. However, I'm listening to another audiobook right now, lots of different accents, and I'm not able to listen to it as fast as I want to.
Yeah. I'm even just listening to like a cutie little romance novel right now, and it has such fun sound effects to it.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
It's just like nothing too distracting, but just it's very immersive without being like fully immersive, obviously. So it keeps you in.
I also saw that Daggermouth is coming out with an audiobook.
And like it has one of the big guys in it too.
And it's like
who the male narrator is. It's a duet.
Yeah, it's a duet, and I love a duet. I'm like, maybe I'll listen to it before the second book comes out.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so what's your final rating?
I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. And the 4 is definitely for the fact that it was an entirely war-related book, but I thought it was quite funny, and I chuckled out loud numerous times, and I thought it was interesting, but that's what I would give. What would you do?
I did a 4 out of 5 as well.
Ooh.
I almost gave it a 3.5. It was
okay.
Because like I was
Same.
really going back and forth, but I thought to myself, I feel like it's because I'm comparing it to Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I think it's an unfair comparison. It's a very different book. It's doing different things. And I'm like, I think if I were to have just read it cold, I think it would be a 4 out of 5. And I like that it's giving some deeper commentary.
I think so. I also thought, I was like, is this like a 3.5? Because I would probably not read a sequel if they came out with one, just because I bet it's going to be another war and I'm just not interested. If it was someone could guarantee me that it was just their life on New Sonora, because I was very interested in that, then I'm like, okay, I would read that.
Yeah. But no, I was back and forth, but I think a 4 for sure. I think I would recommend this to sci-fi fans. Like, I think Carrie would like this book.
Ooh, that's a good person to recommend.
Yeah, if you like sci-fi, and speculative fiction, I think she would find she even, I think, mentioned that she read a sci-fi book where the video games were just war, like where you went to a planet and you were sort of
she
playing
did mention
video
that.
games. So I think she would like it, and I think she would like sort of the bigger AI sort of commentary. And I think the fact that it was funny would be a nice change from your classic sci-fi novels. Right. Okay, tell the people what we're reading next.
All right, so we are going to read The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. And this is a bit of a mystery. And the fun thing about this is it's actually V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark. This is their, I guess, pen name for a book that's written by the two of them, Evelyn Clark. So I'm very interested to see what this is all about.
I obviously know who V.E. Schwab is. I don't know if I've read anything by Evelyn Clark, though. Have you?
No, Kat Clark.
Oh, Kat Clark, sorry.
I don't think I have. Interesting. Kat was born in Zambia and brought up in Edinburgh and Yorkshire, which has given her a very confusing accent. She has written nonfiction books and now writes YA novels. Interesting.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That makes sense why I haven't heard, but I think this will be fun.
Yeah. I think this will be awesome.
And it's a mystery, right?
It is a mystery. It's about a bunch of writers that are stuck on an island having to do something.
Ooh, it feels very Knives Out.
That's exactly what I thought. Yes.
All right. I'm excited for it.
All right. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And remember, no genre shaming unless it's funny. Bye.